at you live from DNHQ in beautiful South Pasadena, California. This is the Blue Heaven Podcast. I'm sure that sounded very annoying. What is going on, Dodgers Nation? My name is Clint. You can find me as Real FRG on Twitter and Instagram. I'm smiling. I'm happy. It's been a while.
It's really good to see your face. I haven't seen you in person in a long time.
As
so
he says as he looks away.
I don't get to see a lot of people nowadays, so it's just me and the cockroaches here on a normal basis, daily basis. So it's good to have you in office. I cleaned up for you, if you can't tell.
I know. I came here and effed it up real quick. Why don't you tell the fine folks who you are?
Guys, I'm Brooke. You can find me at Brooke Me3 on Tinder and Instagram. You don't do that. I'm busy.
Tinder and Instagram.
Tinder. It's not on Tinder, but I am on Instagram, by the way. Good start to today's show. I'm nervous. There's a person here, first time, long time. On today's show, we are building a brand new starting rotation because Trevor Bauer came in, and now there's just a lot of people.
Am I singing?
A lot of stuff.
A whole new rotation. It doesn't have the same role.
Glad we were live for that one.
Yeah. Thank you. Cut. Can somebody cut?
Yeah.
We also got to examine some trades. We did a little bit of it last Friday when the Bauer news was sort of announced, although still not official. We got to look at some trades. I mean, obviously the Dodgers are pretty flush with starters, so we got to figure out where there's an opportunity for trade.
Was that your best John Ralphio?
I mean, it was a imported one. The rumor season continues with the Dodgers, and there's really not much going on over there. We got giveaways, of course, as always, and I mean, depending on who you're listening to, MLB agreed to some protocol stuff today for the season, but our friend Mr. Bob Nightingale is kind of he's bobbing. He's doing his thing.
Pandemic, just really messing with the brain and stuff. So
we got people thrilled. Hey, you got to figure we're happy. We don't get human contact with people, so we're happy to be doing this show not in a cold, desolate room away from each other. So if you have a problem with that, leave a super chat,
and we will read it.
Before we get into the show, we got to remind you this is a podcast. So if you want to subscribe to us, as I say, as somebody hates us, subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, all the spots that your podcasts are available for free. We are there. I don't have my. Wait, no, it's not going to be on there. Subscribe to us on YouTube. That would be super helpful. Hit that notification bell. We would love you dearly if you did.
We would love you so much. We love it so much. Guys, look, this is a live show. Don't forget, we're in person. You can tell, as this guy says, that I take estrogen pills. Of course I do. Absolutely.
I know that guy's very happy.
Don't forget.
About you.
I don't even know who that person is. I don't know why they don't like me so much. Anyways, this is a live show. Make sure you drop into the comments. Let us know where you're repping Dodger Nation tonight. We want to talk to you guys. We want to hear from you guys. It's been a while since we've got to hear from you together. It's usually apart and distance, and we don't listen to each other when we're actually talking distance because we're both trying to do separate things. So we'll talk about it. He's doing it right now, but I'm talking to you guys. I got Brian Hatfield in the chat, always friend of the show from Facebook, checking in. Hatfield, good to see you. Grayson started off the chat. That was the first message that I said that said bring on the live. I don't know. I think just the live show, which is good. Leslie Taylor, friend of the show, over on Facebook, checking in. Leslie, good to see you.
We got Nicolas on YouTube checking in from New York. That's awesome, Mr. Statewide.
This guy really hates me.
Oh, which one is it? I want to see.
The Tyson guy.
He must be Tyson must be one of those Bauer cucks or something like that. Did you say anything bad about Bauer?
I didn't really say. I've been pretty much offline all weekend.
You've been kosher.
Yeah.
I guess.
Whatever. It's just my face. You see the eyebrows.
Yeah. We got Puppy Butt 310 checking in saying Tyson must be a Padre fan. There it is. Did you say something bad?
I didn't say anything about the Padres either. I've been off my game.
Are you slowing down right now?
I haven't said anything about anybody lately. Man, I don't know what's happening.
This guy turns 28 and all of a sudden he can't
do anything.
Can't do anything right.
Tired, yeah.
We got the South Bay in here. John G, our friend, our Mets fan, who was nice enough to kick us down a few super chats for some struggle buzz. See, this is what it normally sounds like, John G. I hope it sounds a little bit better. Although this mic is giving me a buzz, I'm a little annoyed. I got to check the thing. I'm not. Anthony says, "Is this being recorded?" No. Yes. Sure. But yeah, John G is bumming about missing out on Bauer, as a lot of Mets fans are, and a lot aren't. Trevor Bauer he explained himself. He explained what happened on Friday, and the comments and the quote tweets be wildin' in all ways, shapes, and forms.
Oh, you're talking about his mistake?
Yeah.
Apology mistake? Yeah, it was. I would not want to be him personally.
That's the spirit.
Mets fans. I don't think that New Yorkers are historically nice.
No.
I don't think that's the right word that I would use to describe New Yorkers, but they were not happy.
We got Quinn in Calgary, Canada. Hey, thank you for hanging out with us, Quinn. Isaac's up in Big Bear. That sounds nice. I wish I was up in Big Bear. We should go to Big Bear. Live remote in Big Bear. Nobody can come. Andrew's checking in from Arizona. We got a Go Doyers from Jesus or Jesus if you're nasty. Norma, again, is in the stream. I think you had mentioned that already. Or if not, Norma's in the stream. Hi, Norma. Jermaine951 is in the chat, and he's here now with Bauer on our team, wondering, is our rotation better than Scam Diego's? And I guess that's about a good enough jumping off point to get into rotation talk. First, we're doing a Word of the Day giveaway all month of February, so keep an eye out if you're watching the chat. You guys are the only ones who are going to be hearing this. There's going to be a Word of the Day live in the chat. It's going to pop up somewhere on the screen. You are going to go, you got to make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, and on the About page on YouTube, there's going to be an email. You're going to email that Word of the Day and a screenshot of your subscription and all that. Email that, and you have a chance to win up to, well, not you wouldn't win, but all month we're giving away $1,000 in cash and prizes, $1,000 more in cash and prizes. So you can win today's prize. There's a Word of the Day every single day.
For our Canadian listeners, it's in the boot section, not in the about section. Just
God damn it,
in case you just confusion there. I just want to clear it up for you guys.
All right, so we're building a brand new starting rotation. Of course, the addition of Trevor Bauer
We're in charge.
adds to a rotation that it was already pretty stacked, although it had some question marks. Every rotation is going to have some question marks, but
okay.
as you said, there's an excess to our excess of starting pitching. You got Kirsch, you got Bauer, you got Buehler. Those guys are locks. DP's a guy, David Price. Julio's a guy who wants to start. Tony's a guy who should start. D-May's a guy who should start. Which of those guys is going to be getting the bulk of starts in 2021?
Yeah, I mean, that's the question. You start looking at it and you start realizing, like, having a wealth of talent is usually a good thing. And actually, you know what? It always is. I'm not going to say it's a bad thing or anything like that.
Good problem to have.
I'm going to cut myself off there before I make a mistake of saying that. But if you're looking at those specific guys, because you're getting to a conversation of like, hey, you got a bunch of young guys that are experienced but aren't experienced. Do you think that Dustin May is a long-term starter?
No.
Wow. Look at that. That was easy. I thought we were going to argue, but you just went
Do you
right
want me
to
to
it.
argue? He could be.
I mean, you should.
He's only 22, 23.
I'm older.
You are older.
I just know I'm older. That's all I know about him.
D-May's still a young boy. He has an okay slider that he's uncomfortable with, but if he can develop that slider and maybe even a third pitch, I mean, we've talked about it before. D-May right now is a one-pitch pitcher. That pitch is elite. It's nasty. It's disgusting. Go to any video of him striking at Manny Machado and you would know. But that's not enough to get you through 6 innings in a big league game every 5th day. You need that second pitch. He needs a slider. But then again, the slider and that kind of fastball, I mean, Kershaw's slider works as that secondary pitch because he's able to tunnel them a lot more. I mean, it seems like it would be hard to tunnel that much of a variation in linear movement between the two pitches for D-May.
Right.
So you get a guy like that who just has a killer fastball and plug him into the bullpen. He can get 2, maybe 3 innings when needed, or he can be just a shutdown guy that we know the Dodgers don't really have a closer they trust. There's an option.
I think that you also kind of forget that it feels like Dustin May's been around forever, but he's only been here in the big leagues for 2 seasons, and it's parts of 2 seasons. He gets pitches in 14 games, mostly out of the bullpen or in relief in some sort of form in 2019, and then last year starts 10 games.
Mm-hmm.
But that's technically the full season last year, but it's not a full season. And so you're looking at that and you're like, well, he still has time to work on those things. He still has time to get other pitches figured out. I think to me it tells you how good of a pitcher he actually is, that he's been able to have the success that he has had, basically relying on just fastballs. I mean, his sinker profiles is a fastball. It's pretty much just a fastball with movement on it. But I mean, if you can get that second pitch developed, he can be unstoppable. He could be unhittable. He could be a Cy Young type of talent. It's just a question of how long is that going to take, and if it actually even happens at this point. Because if it doesn't, you look at guys like Kenley. Kenley's a great example. Kenley is a guy who has one pitch and has done very well for himself as a reliever. Mario Rivera, another guy, one pitch, did very well for himself as a reliever. plays up really well in the bullpen if you only have one pitch. Not so much if you're a starting pitcher and seeing guys 3-4 times.
But we've seen that historically in baseball. Historically, being the two guys you just mentioned, the cutter, you can get by with the cutter as your one pitch. As long as you have enough movement, you're going to induce weak contact, and that's all you need to do.
Right.
D-May's two-seamer that's a strikeout pitch, or that's a swing and miss pitch. So he's going to be throwing a lot more pitches, and they're going to be getting weak contact. And it's not. I mean, if he threw it slower, honestly, with more movement, maybe tried to be more of a Greg Maddux type, go for the sinker, get the ground balls, get that weak contact early, dude. You could.
You want to see Dustin May throwing like 88?
Let's do it. Let's go.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, it moves too much and it's too fast to be, to get him the innings. But yeah, you bring him in, people are going to be scared in the 8th inning when this guy comes in throwing 1,000 miles an hour, and it moves 7-8 inches.
We've all been there. So, I mean, you start talking about who's getting the bulk of the starts out of those guys, or, if they're going to be swingmen, if they're going to be moved around. You kind of forget that last year was a 60-game season, and so because of that, people are going to take a little bit to probably ramp up to get to full strength again, and then we'll probably need some rest as we get near the playoffs. And so having swingmen like that is going to be important down the stretch. I don't know that you mean you need that many swingmen. That's up to them to decide. But who mostly becomes a reliever in the long term, because you're looking at it as it is without considering some of the bigger names or some of the additions, some of the offseason additions, some of the guys that we expected before this to play a role in the bullpen. Without considering a lot of those guys, there's maybe 2 spots left in the bullpen. And that's, obviously those parts are going to be moving around all offseason. People are going to get sent up and sent down to rest people. But that's not assuming Brandon Morrow. That's not assuming Jimmy Nelson, Scott Alexander, Dylan Floro, Adam Kolarek, Mike Clevenger's brother Garrett, Brock Stewart even. That's not assuming any of those guys. And then you still only really have 2 spots left in the bullpen.
We can assume a few. Beastu, no, it's not going to happen.
He's going to get the frequent flyers miles on again, probably.
I mean, does he have options?
He might be out of options
now. I think that's why they traded him. He was out of options.
Where'd he go? Tampa Bay?
Sure.
No.
Toronto. Clevenger, whatever that is. I think he still has some opportunities. He still has some options. So he will get some innings, not very many. Think of Pat Venditti innings. That's right. We're going throwback. It's old school here tonight on the Money podcast.
The Money Show.
But words, etc., story, Brandon Morrow, I don't know. I mean, he has time to prove himself. I think at some point, if he's going to stick with the club and eventually make it to the big leagues, he's going to have to go through AAA first. And they claim to be that there's going to be a minor league season. I hope there's going to be a minor league season. Allegedly. Yeah. Adam Kolarek is going to be around because they need left-handed pitching. They're real weak in left-handed pitching, so that's where we talked a little bit about it the other day. You would love to see Julio in the bullpen, just as to balance out what's needed in the bullpen, because that is a lockdown lefty, and you get Julio and your boy V-Mart, not V-Mart, the other one, V-Gon.
Not V-Mart. V-Mart will not be pitching.
Why not? Just let him.
He might.
He's DH and DP. Why not? And honestly, the jury's kind of out for me on Victor. I don't know if he's going to do the same thing this year.
That's the thing, is everyone talks about it. They're like, look, I mean, number one.
Don't sleep on Vic, says Grayson.
Number one, you guys know this is not any knock on Victor at all. We love him around here. He was my vote for closer the entire all of 2020 pretty much.
He wants him to tuck him in at night, close the day, every day.
He was used in all of the right situations. He didn't really face any high leverage, except when it came to the playoff situation. He did face high leverage, and to be fair, he came through with it. He also induced a ton of soft contact and a lot of ground balls, which always results in excellent results for relievers in particular. You don't know if that's going to happen again. You don't know what you're going to see out of him in 2021. You don't know if you're going to get the same Victor. You don't know if it's going to be that. So with that, I mean, it just makes way too much sense for me to have Julio in the bullpen. I mean, look what he did in the postseason.
Yeah.
Like, look at his success in the postseason and tell me that guy doesn't need to be a reliever. I understand. Like, he was brought in to be a starter. He was groomed to be a starter. He was, from the day they picked him up, he was made to be a starter. He was limited in his innings so that he could be a starter long term. But at some point, you just got to look at it and be like, he is a better reliever. We got to admit that to ourselves. And this is a good time to do that, is it not?
He's also been a quality starter, too. And
yes.
you have that's a power left-hander to complement the more go with dainty left-handers you're going to get out of Kirsch and DP in 2021.
Dainty. Yeah, that's
That's dainty. There it is. Guys, if they're soft throwing, they're dainty now. You tag me if you want. You could attribute that to me if you want to. Let's go with Bob Nightingale. He's having a fun time either way.
Bobby.
But Roach points out that Urias had struggled a lot in the first inning last season. I think he figured it out by the end of the season. They worked on some things. Him and Mark Pryor, they figured some things out. And if he was a first inning struggle guy, then he would have struggled in the first inning in his relief role. He just needs something to play for, and it happened in the postseason. You get him some starts. I think he's really going to be in there because he doesn't want to be the fifth guy in that rotation, in the so-called super rotation. He wants to be higher. He wants to get those postseason starts.
The Avenger rotation. Yeah, that's what we're going with here.
Dodgers assemble! Shout out to Eddie on that one.
Somebody's
at Real MRE Elemental P.
I'm surprised somebody hasn't made the end game scene, like with all Dodgers pitchers and relievers.
I think they haven't made it in that particular way, but
that's coming up probably later because I said it now. Grayson says, "Could you guys see no trades and have the Dodgers have a 6 or 7 man rotation?" Honestly, I don't.
No.
I don't see that happening in particular. What I do see happening is a situation where a very Ross Stripling situation where it's like, hey, you're a reliever for this month. You're going to start this month, and then you're going to be a reliever this month again, and then in the playoffs, you're a reliever. So I think there's a situation that ends up like that. Unfortunately, I think Tony Gonsolin finds himself on the reliever side of that because I really would like to see him start long term. I think Tony's going to be great, and I'm going to stick to that. And that's not just because he's really nice to us. But that does help. It does help.
It does help. I mean, all of them are going to get starts because
they'll all get starts. If they're all around for the 2021 season with the Dodgers, they will all get starts. That's almost a guarantee.
Because as much as newcomer Mr. Trevor Bauer seen here wearing his Walmart Dodgers jersey without the number.
That's like the one that I bought from China that had Mookie or bets way too big on it.
Yeah. That's a quality one. He's not going to start every fourth day like he wants. And I think the Dodgers realize that's just smarter for the long term of the organization and for the success of the rotation. Don't let your now third co-ace go every fourth day. That's bad. That's not a good investment when you're paying the dude $40 then $45 million when he's here on a 2-year $85 million deal that also has a $17 million out clause in case he does get hurt. These other guys are going to get a lot of starts. They're going to bounce around. They're going to bounce instead of getting their frequent flyer miles to OKC. They're going to be getting a lot of back and forth to the rotation and the bullpen. And I'm hoping they call Ross. Get Strip better help them out in learning how to kind of handle that role because we have not seen that role be. Not too many. Not everybody can be successful in that role. We saw. What's his name? Tony Gonsolin struggled in October, kind of not knowing what his role was. I think he'll be better. I mean, he's told us as much that he plans on being better this year. Easier said than done.
He said, I plan on being better. Yeah,
but he plans on being better, more prepared for those different kind of roles. DJ Jesse talking about Maeda did better in the bullpen. Yeah, there are those types that do better in the bullpen, but then he leaves L.A. knowing that he's going to start, and he goes and finishes, second or third in the AL Cy Young Award voting. So Julio's a guy. Also,
there's a lot to consider with it. If you're looking at it, though, as it stands today with no moves, nothing happening, we're not talking about trades. We're not talking about sending anybody down or anything like that. But what is your ideal starting five? Because mine, personally, obviously, I mean, the locks for me are Kershaw, Bauer, and Buehler. Price isn't necessarily a lock to me just because I'm not sure that he's going to be around. I mean, it's a toss-up at this point. I could also see David Price getting some innings out of the bullpen at some point this year because, I mean, he's old. I feel it. I understand it. But I think it rounds out with Price and Tony Gonsolin because I think that Julio's stuff does play up in the bullpen. And I think this is a really good opportunity for D-May to get some work out of the bullpen and develop and work on that second pitch. And I think a bullpen's the great place to do that.
If you can go out and win another World Series and be in the bullpen the whole year, I think it'll be fine. I think either of them, people like D-May or Tony Gonsolin, just want a role. They want a defined role that they're going to have 90% of the season. They were both ready at the start of spring training or towards the end of, really the middle of spring training 1 last year. They knew they were probably, one of them at least was probably going to the bullpen, maybe even going to AAA. They just want to be in the big leagues.
Me too. I would also like to be in the big leagues.
And that's why I am now your agent.
Thank you.
Yes, I have one client. No, wait, Gail. Gail is also my client, and both of my clients are without jobs. Nailed it.
Did I just get fired?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll be here tonight.
No, that's me now revealing my top 5. It's going to be Walker. So I want Kershaw to be my number 1. I think he's earned it. Just to be the opening day. Let's be that guy. He could be the opening day guy, Kershaw. But if we're looking to pass the torch, but also looking to balance the rotation out, Walker, Kershaw, Buehler, the other one, Bauer. There's another B in the rotation now. It's going to take a little bit. Bauer, Julio, and David Price. As much as I said I want Julio in the bullpen, yes, he's my number 4 guy. And then you go power lefty, weak lefty. So what I say? Dainty lefty. And then the powerhouse of Walker, Buehler right after that. I mean, we're not going to have the same 5 guys going the whole time, but that's my my starting rotation.
It's beautiful, but Tim Rogers says he kind of agrees with Brooke, which is in my book.
Well, he hadn't heard mine yet.
That's a win if Tim kind of agrees with you. I mean, the crowd goes wild, as you can tell. I mean, there's a lot to consider over the next. You not even just this year. I mean, you look beyond this. Look at next year. First of all, we got to figure out Kershaw. That's an entirely different situation. But beyond that, you also have like Josiah Gray, who's been ready to go and arguably could have pitched last year in the starting rotation because he's that ready to go. He should have a chance this year to pitch somewhere on the big league squad.
Yeah.
And now you're looking at it like, is there even room for him anywhere on this team? Like even bullpen aside, like is there even room for him? And there's probably not. And that's an odd situation to be in with a guy who is your number 1 prospect who is ready to go. But also looking back at the Dodgers, they have a history of really, really slow playing their number 1 or best prospect, whoever that might be. Mm-hmm. Alex Verdugo's a great example of that, a guy who was way far behind. But
Gavin Lux now.
Gavin Lux, absolutely. I missed it. I don't remember who said it in the chat, but somebody had pointed out that, the Dodgers kind of don't really like to have defined roles. They kind of like to be a little bit fluid in the way that they play things, and that's true. They don't really – the only really defined role that they have is that if Clayton Kershaw is healthy, he will be their opening day starter, and and Kenley Jansen is our guy at closer, is our guy. I don't know that those two things will ever change, but aside from that, yeah, he's been there. Aside from those two things.
Got some big innings for us in the past.
He has had some big innings for us in the past.
Hey, Jose Rod, here's your button up on this. Jose Rod 05 on YouTube says, good problem to have. Just look down the freeway. Angels can't find enough pitching.
What do you mean? They just signed Shohei to a 2-year deal.
Is he a pitcher? Is he trying to pitch again?
I don't know what he is anymore.
He exists.
Somebody told me that he's better than I saw a thing that like Shohei was better than somebody big. I forgot who it was. Shohei's not better than a lot of people, guys. Relax.
Didn't he pitch like 1 inning last year and gave up like 19 runs?
He's garbage. He's just hurt. He needs like 5 years to recover. He's young or something. I don't know.
So if we have a lot of problems to have, or a lot of good problems to have, i.e. in the rotation, nailed it. I'm a big time journal man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of starters. And the Dodgers have a need at third base. I'm seeing JT. Yes, I think all of us still want Justin Turner back. He's old, but his bat is still elite. It's wild. We keep talking about how old he is, but he's like a couple months older than me. This is bad.
Yeah, but you don't play Major League Baseball. 62 games a year. Oh, you might. I don't know what you're doing.
I'm an agent. All right.
Yeah, I've heard that one too.
This is my vlog. At me, bro.
There it goes.
Anyway, you have a lot of starting pitching that you could move, that you can trade. Roach, no. Bauer cannot play third. I'm sorry. I don't know. Kenley can play third. Boom.
He could probably play third better than Jock can play first. There's that.
Yeah, this is fair.
Yeah.
Love you, Jock. We know that trading from this area of depth could fix a few problems that the roster has. And we also don't know as of now if the roster, we're going to get more into some of the protocol stuff and what MLB and the players union agreed to today for the 2021 season.
Correct.
But we don't know if there's going to be a 26-man roster. We don't know if there's going to be a 28-man again like there was for most of last season. I'm sure that plays a very big difference in what the role, what roles and what kind of trades this team will do.
Right.
But you trade somebody again. We talked about this a little bit on Friday. We were pretty grossly underprepared because we weren't expecting Trevor Bauer to sign with the Dodgers on a Friday at that. But you clear up that roster space you need because the roster is at 40. So Bauer can't be a Dodger until they open up a spot. They're like $10 million away from going like to the next level of the luxury tax. Yeah, which is a lot of money that the Dodgers would be taxed for having the highest payroll in baseball. And you also have that opportunity in finding a potential replacement at third base if you're not going to go the Justin Turner route. If he is hell bent on getting 4 years, it's not going to come from the Dodgers. This has been very much it's an unwritten truth that is the fact. Andrew Friedman does not want to give him 4 years. Maybe he'll give him 2 years and an option. Maybe give him 3 and like a team option, something like that. But he's not going to get 4. And they seem to be fighting about it potentially, maybe they have a deal agreed to, and they're just not talking about it yet. But who are your potential trade candidates? Once again, you've had a weekend to think more about it. Go.
I almost choked. Almost choked on the anticipation, guys.
What are you? Are you the Padres?
I got him. Nailed it. There you go. We can end the show now. I mean, if you're looking at it, you look at who the Dodgers are, what they've done in the past. Very good at moving money around, very good at finding ways to add talent while also getting rid of contracts. And they're always going to be very good at that. Andrew Friedman's always going to be very good at that. I love David Price, and I would love to see David Price pitch for the Dodgers this season and beyond. But the way things are structured, the way things are working out, it does make a lot of sense for them to look at shedding his contract any way that they can. Obviously, a big one of the best things about him in terms of like how other teams view him is that the Red Sox are paying the majority of his salary. So 15 million counts against the CBT for him with the Dodgers this year. And that's really taking something into account because that's probably around the figure that JT or could make if you're looking at re-signing JT as a possibility. That's part of that. Also, if you're looking at a team, I'm thinking like playoff fringe teams. I'm not really thinking of like serious competitors because most of those guys have their starting staffs all put together. They're not really looking at somebody like David Price right now. But I am thinking about like the Angels. And the Angels are a couple good starters away from being a serious playoff team. If the Angels could make a trade for David Price and that opportunity is available to them, I don't see why they wouldn't make a move like that.
But what do you get from them?
That's the thing, is if you're trading David Price, you're probably getting prospects. You're probably getting...
They don't have prospects.
They don't. You're right about that.
I mean, Perry Maniason is trying his damnedest to pick up people that he could trade for prospects. They did good with that. I think it was the Tommy La Stella trade last season. They're buying some prospects, but if you're trying to get prospects, and I don't know how the Dodgers can sell straight salary relief with the Angels.
That's the thing, is if they're looking to offload Price, it's going to have to be to somebody who can offer talent back in return, because it's not going to be hey, we just want to shed $15 million in salary, because that's not what David Price is. He's not just a guy that you look to move just to get rid of his salary. He brings value to a team. He brings a lot of experience. He brings a lot of really good years with him. He looks like he's doing better in years past. And so if you're considering that,
got a few good comments. We got Grayson says Joe Adele for David Price straight up. Why
who
not?
says no? Who says no?
Haywood goes better, saying trade for Mike Trout, and laughs at the idea. Let's get Bobby Grich in here. Why not? Vic Lau saying the Angels are going to trade Bobby Grich. I think he hasn't played in about 70 years.
He's probably available.
Since the 70s or 80s. 80s. I think he retired in the 80s. I forget. I wasn't around then. Could he go back to the Blue Jays?
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing too. Also, it was a thought that had crossed my mind, and it was so funny to me that I had to like pull it back and not think it. But I was like, it'd be really funny if we were like, hey, Mets, I know you just missed out on Trevor Bauer, but might I interest you in a David Price? And then they would be like, is that supposed to be funny? And then we're like, no. And then they're like, okay.
Yeah, flipping the bird.
Yeah. But, I mean, look, there's a lot of different ways that you can go with it. Personally, would prefer to keep David Price on the team.
Yeah.
I think there are other options. Like I said, I still think at the end of the day, we probably end up keeping everybody and just finding a way to get stuff done.
We keep focusing on Price because he's the most expendable, and he has the most. I mean, you look. The argument could be made about Pollock too, but I would say Pollock is more untradeable.
You look at there's 4 major contracts that they would consider offloading. Yep. that they would consider offloading. Beyond that, there's not really much to work with. You're not moving Kershaw's contract, obviously, that for a lot of different reasons. Number one being he's Clayton Kershaw. Kenley's contract counts $16 million towards the CBT this year, so that's a hefty one to have to absorb. But I just can't see them moving that for a lot of reasons. Number one, he has 10-5 rights. Number two,
nobody
really wants him.
Put on your GM cap.
I don't.
You're trying. You're okay. You're. I don't know. What is a good ball club that's trying to get themselves over the top?
The Phillies.
Phillies need help in the bullpen. Why
Very
not?
much so.
They would love that.
Yeah.
Would you, as Matt Klentak, who I think is still their GM, would you go out and be like, I want that guy. I want Kenley Jansen.
Look, I mean, if you're the Phillies and it's being marketed to you as a straight salary dump, which is honestly the only way that you could shed Kenley's contract is as a salary dump. So I'm saying like, hey, you're not getting anything in return really from the Phillies.
Shows up. Hey, have I got a deal for you, boy? Check this out here. I got a fresh new closer.
I think that is the only way that the Phillies or a team like that is like, I'll take Kenley, but. Also, don't forget, Kenley could be like, no, I'm not going there. Like, we're not doing that. So
Kenley has the right to veto any move.
I've seen it brought up in the past where it's like, well, how do you get him to agree to something like that? And someone's like, well, what if you tell him he's not the closer anymore? And I'm like, oh, damn, that would definitely be like, oh, yeah,
that's his
I'll
only
go to
incentive.
Philly. I'll go. I don't care. I'll be the closer there. So, I mean, there are ways to make it happen. I don't see it personally happening, but, Joe Kelly's contract, $8 million towards the CBT for this season. It'll help. It's probably not going to happen. I think you're just going to see him not get his option picked up next year. That's the most likely scenario. I just don't see them picking up his option. Pollock is a...
Pick up the Joe Kelly poster, by the way, guys. JoeKellyFightClub.com. It's a poster.
Good job. He good plug.
I don't know. It was right. It was close enough. Our friends at Sully's brand sent us one of these.
We were just talking about trading him, and then you brought it up.
Yeah, you could do that and then
before
figure out where
he
it
leaves
goes.
the team.
Nailed it.
Ma'am. But I mean, aside from that, AJ Pollock's contract counts for like $12 million towards the CBT. That's a hefty number. I mean, that's not a small number to scoff at. And if you're thinking about adding a right-handed bat or a third baseman, it would be a good time to capitalize on the performance of Pollock last season because you don't know that he's ever going to have a better season with the Dodgers than he did in 2020. And if you're willing to take that gamble, it is also a very team-friendly contract. And so teams might be interested in something like that. So it comes down to what's your plan? Because they, obviously we'll get to it a little bit later, but there was the reported offer to Marcell Ozuna for 2 years. And you're like, what the hell were they planning on doing with Marcell Ozuna? And you're like, oh, maybe they were considering moving AJ Pollock because he sure as hell can own. I mean, if there's no DH, he has to play left field. Like, I don't know what else you're going to do with him.
Yeah. I think they were banking on the DH happening. They probably said, we'll give you 2 years. The DH needs to be in play before we agree to it. And then he eventually was like, okay, well, there went all that money to Bauer. Right. So I'm going to go back home to Atlanta, because that's where my house is from last season. Another name that we talked about last week that I cut you off on because, again, I was ready to drink instead on a Friday instead of talking about Trevor Bauer. You had brought up Matt Chapman. I've seen a few people in the comments bring up Matt Chapman. What does a trade with the Oaklands look like to get Matt Chapman from the Athletics to Los Dodgers?
I mean, the A's are just a really confusing team in general because you look and you're like, oh, they traded Chris Davis. They're obviously looking to get some contracts offloaded, cut some budget.
They needed
and then they brought in Elvis Andrus, and they're like, oh wait, that money just came right back. So
more,
yeah. And so you're like, wait, what are they doing now? Like, what is there? And I don't ever ask me to understand the Oakland A's. I will never understand the Oakland A's. But you look at Matt Chapman. Obviously, there's a lot of things to love about him. There's a lot of boxes that he would check off if he's on the team. I've told you many times in the past when we were talking about Nolan Arenado that I prefer a defensive first third baseman. Not first third baseman, but a defensive first third baseman.
You want him to do goodly with the glove.
Much good glove, yeah.
Gotcha.
With that in mind, he checks a lot of boxes for us. He has 2 more years beyond 2021 of team control, which I think really makes him a real tough dude to trade for. He's only making like $6.5 million for the 2021 season, and with obviously for him that's not very much, and will be paid much, much more one day. So I think that in terms of what the package would take to build for Chapman, It's huge. And I keep seeing people, and not just in the chat, this has been on Twitter kind of for the past couple days, past couple weeks, just in general. People are like, oh, Kybert, throw Kybert in the package. They don't need catching. They have a lot of catching depth and a lot of catching prospects in their organization. I think one of their top prospects is a catcher, and then like their top 5 prospect is a catcher. There's a lot of depth for them at catcher, what I'm saying. So I think that it would have to be built around a Tony Gonsolin / Dustin May type of package, and that's a pretty hefty deal for the Dodgers to turn, because it wouldn't just be a Tony Gonsolin plus like a top 20 prospect. It wouldn't be something like that. It would be a Tony Gonsolin plus a top 5 prospect plus a top 10 prospect, something along those lines, where it's like, okay, that's a lot to swallow. Are they willing to do something like that?
Maybe you go Tony and Eddie Rios, who he's got pop. I'm sure that would be fun at O.co or whatever it's called this year. And you got to throw in something else. You got to find a way to mix David Price in there, because you can't just go bring in more money if the Dodgers are trying to stay under a certain tax threshold.
Right.
You got to find that way to convince another team, in this case, the Oaklands, as I like to call them, convince them to accept, I don't know. I mean, I guess really it'd only be like less than $10 million to their CBT, and you're getting one young controllable arm who's proven himself thus far in Tony Gonsolin. You're getting a replacement at third base, or somebody that you can kind of mix around. You could DH him, and he's a star slugger. He's a potential star slugger in Eddie Rios, and Rios, if he's getting those at bats, he plays very well in Oakland, because they don't care so much about the batting average, and he's never going to be a batting average guy. If he can get on base and slug the hell out of the now deadened ball, foreshadowing,
Heyo.
That's a good deal right there. I would feel it's not going to be enough. No, the Oakland side of things, they're not going to say that that's enough, and we're probably doing what we always do, overvaluing our guys. But you know what, YOLO.
I tend to do that, yeah.
But you're getting 2 starters in a rotation in Oakland that tends to struggle to have guys that get you more than 100 innings pitched in a season.
Yeah, and if you just look at Oakland's farm system just in general, they're not heavy on arms. They have a lot to choose from in terms of outfield talent, infield talent, things like that behind the plate. They don't have a lot of arms to choose from long term. And so if you're looking at a Matt Chapman type of person, you got to figure that arms are definitely going to play into that. I don't know how realistic that is. I would put the chances very low. If you wanted to even put a percentage on that happening, I would put it at less than 5%. But that's a fun thing to dream about, isn't it? I mean, Matt Chapman over at third base for the Dodgers?
Yeah, and
come on.
He's not very far off from what Rios is. Like he's not a very high average kind of guy.
Right.
But he can slug a little bit, he can get on base, and most importantly, that glove is probably the best in the game, if not right up there with Nolan at third base.
It's like if you had Edwin Rios suddenly overnight turn into one of the best defenders in the world. You feel a lot better about Justin Turner not being on your team all of a sudden if he chooses to sign somewhere else or ends up with another contract somewhere. Suddenly you're feeling okay about that because you got a real quality glove over there. Because I don't see a scenario where the Dodgers go into the season with the current group of guys that they have in terms of third base. I just don't see that happening. That's a reach for me. Edwin Rios is not the guy. Matt Beatty's obviously not going to play third base. Max Muncy hates third base. Chris Taylor's not a third baseman. There's a lot of different reasons you could be like, nah, that's not happening. They're definitely going to pick up somebody. Is it going to be JT or is it not? That's just the question at this point.
Digging into a few of the comments here, I saw one person. Let me find it real quick. I can't find it. Somebody asked, or somebody had pointed out, we don't know if Eddie Rios can't hit, if he's not going to be a high average guy. His minor league track record proves as much. I mean, he can get on base a little bit, but career, where did you go? Career 295 batting in the minor leagues. That's fine. Well, he was pretty decent in his first season as well. He hit like 270 or something like that.
Right.
So I'll agree on that maybe he can hit. I think he's proven that he's not really going to be that kind of guy at the big league level, but maybe he can hit with some time and more ABs. Why not? We're getting a few about Kyle Seeger, which doesn't make sense for the club because they need fewer left-handed batters. If you're going to go Kyle Seeger, I would just stick with like Beatty and Rios at third base, to be honest. provide or in the event that JT isn't re-signed.
Right. And Justin over on Periscope brings up that J-Ram's more of a possibility than Chapman. I mean, J-Ram, you look at
I think Cleveland said they're not going to trade him. Though.
Cleveland said a lot of things in the past, but if you're talking about realistic, I mean, his contract dictates that would make more sense for a lot of different reasons. Number one is Cleveland really doesn't like to hold on to so much money and talent. It's not something that they like to do, and he fits what they're doing long term. There's a lot of different things that the Dodgers could send to Cleveland as opposed to Oakland as well. So it does change both a lot. J-Ram, great freaking hitter. I mean, you lose a little bit of defense, but nothing significant to the point where you wouldn't consider over Justin Turner. So it's like, what's the balance there? He costs a little money, though. A little more money.
He does.
And that's okay.
Again,
they have money.
It's premier talent. One final note before we button up here and move along, seeing a few about Chris Bryant. We've talked a lot about Chris Bryant this offseason. Personally, you can't give up too much to get Chris Bryant. One, because he's only got a year left on his deal. Two, or 1B, 1A, whatever, you're not going to extend Chris Bryant. You're going to let him go to free agency. I would prefer JT over Chris Bryant, but I also do like the Chris Bryant idea. I don't think it's going to happen though. I think the Cubs found out they found a couple $100 million or a couple $100,000 in their back pocket, and that's why they're now all of a sudden looking to add pitching. They added Jock Peterson. They're going to try a little bit. I mean, they kind of sort of did that a little before they knew that St. Louis was going for it in that Arenado trade. But I think they're going to keep Brizzo for one more season, keep that power tandem going, and it's not going to happen. That's it. Thank you.
I will say I did I misspoke when I said that Jose Ramirez would cost more in terms of the CBT. He would not cost more in terms of the CBT. He's actually slightly less in terms of the CBT, but he does have a $12 million option for 2022 and a $14 million option for 2023 that they'd have to pick up. So, I mean, they could do that easily.
Plus, Cody Hosey is not that far away.
Not
Felix
that far.
Brings that up. All right, before we move on to our next fun topic, which is sort of rumors, which kind of we've already been doing in a way. We'll go through that quick. This is the part where we got to sell you stuff, and we got to sell you something for free. Last week, we announced which one was it? This one. The Clayton Kershaw signed photograph through our friends over at Elite Sports Collectibles. Yes, we're giving away stuff all season, or at least half the season long, with our friends at Elite Sports Collectibles. It's real easy to win stuff, and we have a winner for last week's giveaway. Why don't you tell them who it is, Brooke?
That was a really good voice. I
Thank
appreciated that. The winner of this great, awesome, wonderful, spectacular 16 by 20 inch Clayton Kershaw autograph photo is Leighton Smith over on Instagram at Leighton_Smith with another H. No relation to me. That's just a very generic person name. And Leighton, you won it. So you have 48 hours. We're going to DM you. Make sure you respond, because that would just be a shame if it had to come back here and hang up on the wall right there in that little blank empty spot right there where there's a perfect space for it. So make sure you respond, Leighton, because you'll want it.
We find another winner if they don't find
another winner. We don't keep them.
We don't keep it. If we kept it, we would have no room. We appreciate all the things people have sent us. I haven't been here in a while, so we've had the P.O. box kind of backing up. Shout out Santiago for making us, if you guys are watching, these awesome 3D mold, 3D print things of our logo, but also the Dodgers logo, so don't sue him for that. And our friend of the show, Katie, made us an awesome liquor barrel with the engraved stuff on it. It has our logo. It has the Dodgers Nation logo. It has It's Time for Dodgers Baseball. That thing is really killer. So, Katie, thank you for that. We love you.
Your art is the prettiest art.
Of all the art.
Of all the art.
Next
Plus
up,
Santiago.
Next up, we are announcing this week's giveaway, which is a delicious Corey Seager autograph photograph. It is 11 by 14 spotlight photograph. You could pick up an MVP giveaway, I guess. Sure, why not? It's real easy to win. You are going to follow the directions on the post on our Instagram. Go to @officialdodgersnation on Instagram. You're going to need to follow our friends at Elite Sports Collectibles 1 on Instagram to be eligible to win. Tag a friend in the post. Let us know your favorite, I think, Seeger moment. I forget what it is. I'm sorry. Check it out in the post. Thank you.
expert mode.
Nailed it. I didn't have all the lyrics for that one. Okay.
No, I didn't either. First time in house, we got to get used to the new air. There's no cockroaches, so we don't have any help around here anymore.
There's air.
Yeah.
Well, so you already mentioned the Dodgers were in on Marcell Ozuna allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean to you? Again, this news came out after the Bauer news had dropped.
Right.
So apparently they're looking to drop some coin.
I mean, they were I guess there was a bunch of money burning a hole in little Andy F's pocket or something, because he was just making offers to everybody. Obviously, Ozuna signed that fat 4-year deal worth $65 million, even though somebody reported that he went to the Rays a little too early, but we're not gonna talk about that. Signed a 4-year deal to go back to ATL. Apparently, the Dodgers offered him a 2-year deal. The numbers associated with that, I don't know. Haven't looked into it. Haven't really seen much about it. Again, it's so odd. Number one, it had to be DH related. I just can't see a scenario where they're like, "Oh, we're not having the universal DH, so that's okay. We're gonna offer you a deal." And he's just like, I can't play the.
He's a Gold Glove winner.
And okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing too. AJ Pollock is not a very good defender, and if you look at all of his every peripheral that you talk about with outfielders, he's pretty bad, and he's been in decline for a while. But you look at Marcell Ozuna, and you're like, oh, he's not far off. He's actually not that bad. I mean, we obviously all remember the play where he fell off the wall trying to catch a ball.
Yeah, did you see the quote today? Somebody said, don't let that play in left field define your judgment of Marcell Ozuna's ability to play defense. I mean, that's not exactly how the quote was, and I'm like, no, I'm totally gonna. That's it. That is his defense. It's him letting missing a Kike fly out.
He's got a lot of room for improvement, and we'll just give him that. But to me, I was like, I don't know what the hell they're planning. They obviously want a right-handed bat very badly, and I don't know if that says anything about JT to you, because if they're going after a right-handed bat in Marcell Ozuna, does that mean they're giving up on JT? Does that mean they're trying to find a contingency plan for him? Dude, we're February 8th, and we still don't have Justin Turner. I thought Justin Turner was like, as soon as free agency starts, I'm signing with the Dodgers, and obviously we are way far off of that, and that did not happen. And now we're just at a weird point where I'm like, is he ever coming home? Should I leave the light on?
Our boy, Mr. Doug McCain, who is wonderful. He's working on some more magic videos that are going to come out tomorrow on our YouTube channel, so check it out. Make sure you subscribe, youtube.com/DodgersNationTV. Hit that notification bell. You'll be glad you did. He had mentioned in a video, or he was kind of just brain souping. He was talking about, why the hell is JT not back yet? What's the holdup in a reunion, the most perfect reunion, the most obvious reunion of any team and free agent this offseason?
I think it's just as Justin points out here on Periscope. He says, I believe JT's their last option. JT would be back already if that wasn't the case. There are just better options out there right now, and until they get concrete no's on those, they're not going to pivot to their guy and pay actual money out to a guy who's aging. I don't know a better way to say that.
He's as old as that. He's as old as Buchanan's back here.
Exactly. And to be fair to Justin Turner, I'm sure he's also doing the same thing, where the Dodgers are obviously his fallback plan, just in case he can't find anything out there that's going to pay him more money. He was, I think, in my mind, he was waiting out to find out the DH situation, because he was going to get a better contract or more offers or more of a competition pool if that was available to him. It's not now. So I think that his options are a little bit limited. I don't know that there's another team actually in on him. Obviously, we've heard the Brewers are in on him. Don't know how realistic that is. Doug talked about it a little bit over on the YouTube channel, so go check that out, because it does make a little sense the way he describes it. But in my mind, I'm like, I don't know who's in on him. Are the Mets in on him? Or is the Nippon, over there?
Nippon Denso, yeah.
Yeah.
The spark plugs.
Yeah. Keyboom Heroes, those guys. There's just, I don't know. I'm saying I don't know who's in on Justin Turner. I don't even know if the Dodgers are in on Justin Turner. It's really weird. Don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable.
All right, so this is going to be it's not a challenge. I guess it's going to be the question of the night. Spring training players report next week. Will he be a Dodger before pitchers and catchers report?
I don't think he will. Not before pitchers and catchers, because they report like a week and some change.
How does that make you feel?
Sad.
I mean,
I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm not saying it's not
hell
gonna
of a
be
way
part
to
of the
go
team.
out, man.
He went out on top.
Went out on top, but in
on
like
bottom
the
of
back
top.
room, and then
he went on the bottom of the
yeah,
top.
and then in trouble and
Controversy,
whatever.
controversy, as it were.
I mean, also just imagine that that clubhouse rock or the shakeup of you're losing JT and Kike and Jock. That's a lot, man.
I think they've made it really clear that they're like all in on the change of scenery this year. Like they have completely flipped the script on what their clubhouse was. You look at like there you go.
As I put the Bauer.
I mean, you look at like
up.
4 years ago what this team was and the guys surrounding the team and the main people in the clubhouse. And now you look at it now and you're like, this is a drastic change from what it's been. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm not saying that. I am just saying that I think that the Dodgers are pulling away a little bit from the hey, we're all friends and family, and moving more towards like this is a baseball team. This is an organization. We're here to win. We're here to win championships and bring championships back to the city of Los Angeles. So you can either have that or you can be like my Kike. You get your two choices, and that's it.
Ross Stripling broke up the band. That's what it is.
Yeah, that was really
trade.
He broke the seal, and it
Strap.
just everything just let loose from there.
You know, we got to call him before the season starts. I just want to see how he's doing.
Yeah, he might not answer our calls after the season, so we should get it in soon. And Justin points out again, it's Mookie's room now, no one else's.
Yeah.
Mookie owns that clubhouse, and I would not be surprised if they were. That is one of the main reasons they're looking at Justin Turner and being like, it's okay if we don't have Justin Turner. We have Mookie Betts. This is his locker room. This is his team now. I mean, even with Clayton Kershaw on the team, it is Mookie Betts' team by far.
It's always going to be a position player, and JT would be the better guy to
pitchers are head
be
cases.
the guy, but yeah.
So.
Well, do I push the button again? Puppy Butt 310 says the Banana Squad. Also, the little throwback for Kike, Jock,
yeah, okay. I was
JT.
trying to figure out who's who.
Ba nah. But we don't have enough.
We're not
people
playing
in here.
around anymore. It's not going to be fun.
Anyway, all right. A lot of baseball things happened today. You want to explain to people what happened today?
Which one? Do you want to talk about the softballs?
Well, all right, you guys want to talk about balls, or do you want to talk about what's the other thing? Health and safety protocols.
Health and safety. I mean, we can go over that one real quick. That one I feel like is a pretty.
Cut and dry.
I mean, it's pretty much what we expected. The Players Association and the league came together, worked on terms for the health and safety regulations for the 2021 season. That doesn't mean anything other than agreeing to specific rule changes as they relate to health and safety of players in a still pandemic season. Part of that is the extra innings rule is back, which did you have strong opinions on the extra inning rule? Did you lean one way or the other, or was it like, I don't really care, I just want to play a game?
I think of all of them, that would be the one I like the least.
Okay, that's fair.
But
there weren't a lot of bad ones. Yeah.
I'm not like I hate it and I will never watch baseball again.
Yeah, I mean, if you play slow pitch softball, you're like, I remember that rule. So it kind of feels odd that we have familiar things with Major League Baseball players, but that's okay. That's one thing I was willing to give on for the sake of the season. And technically, you look at it, it slowed down Dodger games, but it sped up games league wide. And so if you're as a Dodger fan, it's tough to grasp that a little bit, but it did speed up games league wide, and I'm fine with that. I don't want any more 18-inning games. I'm tired. 7-inning doubleheaders are returning, and to me, those just make sense. There's going to be things that happen where COVID outbreaks happen within teams' camps, and that's going to delay games, and that's going to delay parts of the season, and you got to get things done. So, 7-inning doubleheaders.
Joe Kelly suspended 8 games according to the health and safety rules.
Perfect. Good start to the season. With kickoff well, we ride at dawn.
Quality stuff from Puppy Butt 310.
Probably the main thing to take away from this is that the universal DH is not part of the plan to return per the health and safety protocols, because from the league maintained that it was not a health and safety issue. So, number one, that means that they're just wilding out now. Forget it. I don't even want to talk about that.
They're holding it. They're continuing to lord it over the players.
That's the other part of it. They obviously that the extended playoffs are not part of the health and safety protocol side of it. It is more of a negotiation between the league and the players union just in general. I think they're going to keep holding that over their head. I think they're going to keep doing it all the way up to the start of the season. I still maintain that the universal DH is going to end up as part of the season. I'm going to stick to that because I've just been sticking to it this long, so might as well just keep going with it until I'm definitely wrong. Whatever.
No, they're going to bring it back at the trade deadline.
There you go. Yeah, circle back. And I don't know. That's it. That's all the health and safety protocols that they're doing. So, 162 game season, here we come, I guess.
Question mark?
I don't know.
There's still a while before opening day, kids. So things could very much change. Where were you at on all the changes? I mean, I know we've talked about it at different points. Like you really don't care. You just want to see baseball, right?
I don't care. I mean, there's a lot of different. I was so desperate last year for baseball to get started. I was just like puttering around my living room, like with my dog, like, please, baseball, come back, just for 18 hours a day for 7 days a week. So I would have taken baseball in any way, shape, or form. I would have taken it like in some like basketball form, like if I had to. Anything could have happened for me.
Dan Burdew saying, I noticed they didn't mention anything about the masks. I'm assuming all the other protocols are about the same.
I'm assuming they're going to get another 111-page health and safety protocol manual once again that they're going to have to read through. So. Look, I mean, Leslie points out there's no KBO that we're going to have to lean on this year. That's what we did last year. Everyone pretended they were a KBO fan for like a week and a half. And then
one game.
They were like, never mind.
One game. And that broadcast was so bad, having Eddie Perez and Carl Ravitch like in different areas of the world watching a game across the damn globe, which is round.
What?
Like it was bad, dude. The delay was absurdly bad, and they just kept cutting over each other. It was terrible. Like the way we cut over each other, it's fun. It's more exciting.
Can you imagine us announcing a KBO game? Not fun.
Dan also says we don't have to watch marble races. Thank God. Hey, shout out to our boy. What's his name? Cooper Searles. Listen,
Cooper, the marble racing man.
Listen to our friends over at Big Swing Podcast.
The other thing. It's a good day for just weird, obscure MLB news, so I'm glad we're here for it, guys. The league is making the balls less hard.
Story checks out.
On that one. A report from Athletics says that they are deadening the balls for the 2021 season, and it's all deep, real inside baseball economics type of stuff that I'm not going to explain because I don't understand and I don't really know how to read very well.
That's true, I've seen it.
Basically a part of MLB's effort to reduce home run swings, make the game more efficient by putting the ball into play more, make the games go faster, et cetera, et cetera. How are they doing this? Well, they're reducing the weight of the ball by less than 1/10 of an ounce, which I don't know how much difference that makes, but they also want to see a slight decrease in the bounciness of the ball. All the science and stuff that goes behind that, I don't know. I assume that they're going to take a little bit of they're going to loosen up the seams rather than tighten them like they have in years past. I don't know how that works.
Did they talk to pitchers about this?
Probably not Clayton Kershaw, I would imagine, because they don't like to check with him about anything. But the KBO did a similar thing, and home runs were cut down by 1/3 for the season. But the difference was the KBO actually made a bigger baseball, not a smaller baseball. So who knows how it's going to play? I don't know how it's going to work out.
I love
Are
Rob
we in
Manfred,
favor of
man.
less home runs? Does it matter?
Big Steve says Charlie Steiner really going to struggle on reading fly balls.
Oh, Chuck, man.
Wait, what was the question? Are we
in favor of less home runs? No, are we in favor of less home runs?
Yeah, in favor of fewer home runs? No, absolutely not.
Okay,
home runs are fun. As they say, the old adage, which is now an outdated adage, is chicks dig the long ball. Guess what? I dig the long ball too. It's fun. The long ball is what saved Major League Baseball from complete obscurity in the late 90s, and it's making it a little more fun now for the kids and whoever the hell else is into it. Why would you change it up now? They're changing it in a way that affects the pitcher. If they're changing the seams and they're changing the weight of the ball,
right?
That's another thing.
That was the other point that I had brought up in the notes as well. Is that does less home runs draw less fans? Again, like it seems like Major League Baseball is just always shooting themselves in the foot in terms of like how they're trying to market things, how they're trying to bring in new fans, how they're trying to create a younger generation of fans. Seems like anytime they do, for every step forward that they take in something in that regard, they take 10 steps backwards. And I feel like this is a good step towards that. I don't know what they're doing. I hope that there was some consultation with actual pitchers to be able to find a good middle ground solution, and that it's not just, NFL blitz, but MLB version where they're just crushing the ball out every time. Rob Manfred is bad at everything that he does. Just everything he touches turns to shit.
Yeah, the things Robbie decides to focus on are just, they're absurd.
Solution.
by Calvin Klein.
You keep up the whole. You just use the same ball. Keep up the massive home runs and the huge strikeout totals. Make pine tar legal.
Which they should already.
And then it should already be illegal, or should be an approved substance that they are allowed to use out there. Not necessarily pine tar, I guess, but an approved substance that they can use. It helps balance it out a little bit more. It makes it a little more even, and you still get the long ball on occasion. Long balls and that's it. Just strikeouts and home runs. That's the big two. It's all I want to see in my baseball games, guys.
Rob Manfred can catch these hands.
I haven't seen a bunt in a little while. It's been a minute. I miss bunting.
Don't ruin the good game of baseball with bunts.
Remember
bunts
when I
should
said
be
that
illegal.
they should bunt in the extra innings, and they were like, well, statistically, that takes away from. And then the first time somebody bunted, they won the game after that. And I was like, you sons of bitches.
Because logic and science.
Logic and science.
Baseball. Wait, I have a button. That works.
Oh, we have a soundboard now. I forgot.
Well, we can hear it. We had it, but other people can hear it, I
hear it
think. Yeah.
No.
Well, when in Rome. You guys let us know what you think about it. I guess it doesn't matter what you think about it right now because we're going to pretty much sign off. But I did like somebody saying, what the hell they say? They said they want to see the metal bats back. And I'm like, I don't think we should do that one. That one sounds hella dangerous. You
remember the orange Easton bat that the college players used for a while? That was just like the God mode bat. And we bring that one back.
Yeah, you remember when all the bats were breaking a couple years ago? I think they were all the maple or the bamboo bats were breaking, or ash, whatever the hell they were. Yeah, that would be bad with aluminum bats murdering pitchers. So
that'd be cool. It's like a last man standing type of scenario.
Who doesn't like a little bit of murder?
I mean, the stealth. That's what Jose Rod's talking about, the orange stealth.
That
thing was wild. Anyways.
Hold on, wait, keep talking because I gotta find a thing.
So, how is your guys' day going?
There's comments. You dipshit.
I was reading them. Yeah. Dan
Nobody
says
asked
metal
that.
bats players wear helmets and heart plate protectors. So you just got to play way back on the infield. That's it.
One last shout out because I realized because I couldn't see it, but I looked over and I saw it. We got this blue heaven on earth sign now in front of us, which is killer. I love the sign. The thing looks crazy good. I picked it up from at West Coasters on Instagram. It's at West Coasters with a Z. The dude Ken, he's a real nice guy. He actually gifted us this fine thing, and he didn't even expect the shout out like this. So I'm just doing it out of the kindness of my heart because if you send us things, I think you deserve a shout out. Eddie gave us those mugs, so I'm going to give Eddie a shout-out. Gary gave us these shirts. Go to gearup.la to get some shirts. We didn't plan on wearing Nation shirts together, but we did because that's how cool we is. Find us on the internet. We are at DodgersNation.com. Subscribe to Blue Heaven. We are a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all the spots your podcast exists to eat for free. That is where we live. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/DodgersNationTV. You're going to be so effing glad you did.
Jeez, there's a lot of really funny comments in there. I'm just going to read through all these later. I'm not going to go through them right now. It's just too much in here, guys. Guys, I'm very happy to be here. I'm at BrookMe3. This guy over here is at RealFRG. We're on Twitter and Instagram. We are at Dodgers Nation on Twitter, at official Dodgers Nation on Instagram. Make sure you go check out our giveaway, the Elite Sports Collectibles. Go win the Corey Seeger.
Corey Seeger. 11x14
Very
spotlight
professional
photo.
show. Yeah.
It's an MVP Siegs.
This is not my first time doing this show. Maybe my last.
I love
though.
you too, Mookie.
We love you guys. Thank you for being here with us. Thanks for staying up with us all off season long. We're headed towards spring training.
like 8.
Time is almost here. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you either this week if something breaks or next week on Monday.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.